So tell me, how did you meet? Tell me.
Hello, how
Hi.
are you?
I thought we would just
Oh, we're
dive
just
in.
gonna dive
Okay,
in.
we do it again.
Fair enough.
We do it again?
No,
don't
you don't have to clap. Clap is just to synchronize all our inputs,
Okay, so
and
you
then
can edit this
we can
back.
cut wherever we want.
Are
We
my
want to come
teeth
in.
okay?
This is definitely staying in.
Oh
How do I look?
my God.
Yeah,
So you're eating.
Yes,
the
I am
chocolate.
eating. I'm shameless. Or we're gonna go for the that whole. There's a whole
ASMR.
type of person. Oh, that, but also people who love seeing women just eat. With,
Oh yeah, we're doing like
without
favor
abandon.
to some,
Yeah,
to some
someone's.
people who like.
It's so good. And then there are people who have, it's
slurp.
hell, total hell. Like, stop! They're chewing croissants on a podcast.
We're the ladies of the universe.
We're gonna split our
Okay.
audience. There's a whole condition where you're.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm okay. Like,
Yeah.
on the whole, life's amazing. I'm not complaining, but.
But there's always a but.
Well, the last couple of weeks have been tough. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
know.
my energy levels aren't great. I'm feeling very like disconnected and a little bit. I'm working on a lot of things. I'm planting a lot of seeds. Everything I'm doing is in its starting phase. That's like 5 different things. Like, so I think that's starting to take a little bit of a toll on me. So this week was good. I was able to like really like lay low. Last weekend I got to go to the spa with Marty, and that was really nice. So yeah, but I don't know. I'm eager. There's a little bit of like a low level anxiety. Like, when am I gonna find my feeding? No, when am I gonna find my footing again? Yeah, but I don't know. There's like, in the spiritual world, there's these whole explanations like with with energy in the universe and solar flares and all that stuff, and I'm not going to get into it because I don't fully understand it, but I will listen to these videos or hear these teachers who are much more spiritually connected than I am talk about this stuff, and it's just like, that feels true to me. I feel like that's what's happening to me. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm lucky that I'm in a position where if I'm not feeling great, I can just sleep in. Oh, the other thing that's not helping is my cat, Malako, will wake me up like 4 or 5 times a night sometimes.
That's not good. You need your sleep. You can't.
I'd prefer to think it's the universe. No.
It's your cat.
It's just my cat.
Just be realistic and materialistic about things.
Yeah. No, because the moon is in
I think,
Jupiter.
you have a baby in the house, and
He's a big baby. Yeah.
And I can totally understand. Sleep is so important. I can't do without a good night's sleep. I've been having really good night sleeps on and off, but mostly on, which is very
fantastic.
bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, for a woman your age.
Yeah.
Seriously though, like, as I get older,
After I take my dentures, I put them, and I'm like,
it's funny you mentioned dentures.
Yeah.
I've been grinding my teeth so hard. Like, this morning I woke up with a headache because I was clenching, and
you have to do something about it.
What do you do?
Well, you have a mouth guard or something.
I know, but then that just encourages me to continue to. So the mouth
Okay,
guard will
remove
protect my
all
teeth.
your teeth.
Yeah, there you go. I need dentures.
Yeah.
Because when I wear the mouth guard, it's a cheap one. I haven't gone through the process of getting like one fitted for teeth.
Dollar store.
I went to the dollar store and I found a thing for hockey, a mouth protector, and that's what. No, Amazon, one step higher. It was like a 5-pack. The idea is just
$6.99.
Pretty much. Yeah, so I've stopped wearing it. At one point, I liked it. They felt good. I would wear them during the day, and then my gums started bleeding. It was like,
oh wow.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm
I
an
think
idiot.
you need to go see a professional.
You think?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, but even if I were to protect my teeth, which I definitely need to do, I need to protect my teeth. The clenching of my jaw, like that part is, that's not good either. Like the tension in my jaw. And then there's this whole jaw hip connection. Like on the top of your vertebrae is your jaw, and at the bottom are your hips. And I have hip problems, so maybe that's tied to that somehow. Plus, I have scoliosis, so maybe
Jesus,
that's
you're a freak. Just go
You're
away.
gonna take out.
I think it's time for you to just.
We don't want to talk about. This is welcome back to the Let's
whole
Talk About
thing.
Our Ailments podcast.
My joints and my knees and my.
So anyway,
Yeah,
no,
that's,
on the whole, I'm
when you
fine.
hit 40, it all goes downhill
No.
from there.
Well, this is what I'm trying. This is what I'm trying to fight against, or not fight against. This is what I want.
Yeah, but
to
even
change.
if you exercise, you take care of yourself, it helps you stay mobile and like independent for a while, but it's still gonna ache and feel like your joints and things like that is gonna hurt.
I would like to think
Especially
that
with menopause. Menopause is really
I'm
tough on
getting
your,
through
on
that.
your whole body, you know?
the hormones suddenly shift, and
Yeah,
all these things
yeah.
you're used to like having in your system are gone.
You have a hormone, and now you don't have it anymore. So
and hormones are so subtle.
Yeah.
Like just a little tiny tweak to a hormone
yeah.
can send you off into the manosphere. No.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's why women and men at a certain they become the same. Women over
Because
70
our
and-
hormones are suddenly very
Yeah,
much more
yeah.
masculine than they were in
Yeah.
our 30s. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not an expert or a doctor in any of these
Yeah, I
things,
would
but,
just.
but I would like to think that like the achy body and all that stuff, like, and with that's not built into aging, and that somehow with exercising and moving and eating right and I mean, my hip thing, that probably came from an accident. When I first moved into this apartment, I fell on my stairs and it hasn't quite been the same since. So, and plus the scoliosis, I'm guessing it gets worse as you age. I don't know. I'm trying not to like give any energy to that and just kind of, and as the whole, like I'm, for someone who's almost 50, I'm feeling pretty good, I think. But my goal is to start feeling better. So anyway, we can get into that whole
that's
self-improvement
wishful
goals later.
thinking.
Well, with that attitude.
Yeah.
How are you?
But I think you look great. You're very energetic and
Yeah.
active, and I feel like I'm like sometimes, you know.
Yeah, well,
It's-
you're still dealing
it's
with the
alright.
perimenopause stuff. I'm on the other
I
side of that,
know.
baby. It's
I know. I'm just.
come on over. The water's fine.
It's horrible. I'm bleeding the whole month. It's just.
That's not
It's
fun.
very frustrating and draining, and I'm aching and
Literally draining.
I have cramps like I'm 16. It's just.
Any acne that goes along with it?
I don't have acne.
Ah.
My skin is really the best I've ever had my whole life.
Same.
I don't understand, but I think I understand because even though we're eating croissants today, I cut sugar a lot from and I think also intermittent fasting helps a lot. Because we're not constantly eating and
Yes.
eating. So
No, intermittent
I used
fasting
to
is
have
amazing.
like acne, in my 30s and.
Oh, you
late
were
30s.
also. This is another thing that
Yeah.
you and I share then, because I had adult acne too. Like my late 20s,
Yeah.
early 30s, there was still some big stuff. Thankfully, yes. I don't know, like the getting over to the no longer having depression probably helps. I think you're right, reducing sugar. Although I still have a long way to go on that front.
Yeah, me too. But it's better than before.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to eat a lot more junk than I do now.
I mean, good.
Yeah.
Now you just keep your junk in the trunk.
I don't have any junk anymore. I don't know what's happening with my junk.
Yeah, we could talk about it.
Oh,
No,
like,
no. We're not-
dating?
No,
Oh,
we'll
the-
save that. That's juicy. We're
Dating
gonna-
is really. I'm not doing anything about it anymore.
no.
I tried for like 3 days, and I was like,
Nope.
this is like scary and depressing, and I'm like, I deleted my Hinge account. Like, oh my God, it's not good. It's just, I don't want to do this anymore. Seriously, if it doesn't come organically, I'm not gonna look for it.
Right. Well, that's probably the
Seriously.
best approach to have. That's when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know what?
And if it doesn't happen, I'm fine. Seriously,
That's
I
the
reached
attitude.
a place in my life where I accept things as they
Yes.
are. I'm not gonna be frustrated if I don't have
A healthy
man.
amount of
Yeah.
detachment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Because I
good.
have a lot of love in my life.
Yes.
So it's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah, there's
now.
not this-
Yeah, it's not.
this-
I'm not
this aching
obsessed about
void,
it.
yeah.
and, yeah.
The sex part's a little tricky, but
It comes and goes.
yeah.
It happens. I still have those periods where I really feel like I want to have sex, but I calm myself down
You have methods.
with my toolbox.
Yeah, I hear you're very skilled in you're
I am
skilled
very
with your
skilled.
tools.
It's
Yeah.
good to know your body. So so you know how to
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about that a little bit the first time. Like at a very young age, you learned how to masturbate. For me, that came much later. Like it wasn't until I was like, I remember being married, and feeling very lonely, but also horny, and then masturbate, and I had to like hide it. Even though I'm guessing my ex probably would have been into it, and there were times where he was into it, but he liked it when he was part of it. But when I was doing it just for me by myself, I had to hide that. I was afraid of how he would respond.
wow.
Yeah. So, and it was definitely not encouraged in my childhood. Like that was definitely.
Oh yeah,
not.
I would never.
So it wasn't until like my late 30s that I even started doing it, and it wasn't until like after I was out of my marriage that I could just do it and not be scared at all.
See
Yeah.
how they build stuff in our brains about like when I grow up. Like I heard a lot of women, they have never seen their vaginas. It was like very something that you don't do. You don't go out and look at your.
It is hard
vagina.
to see. Like you
I
have to go out of your
this
way
is
to
the
look.
First thing I thought, like I need to see my vagina, and I took a mirror and I started looking
Wow.
at it when I was
So you're-
really, really young, because it doesn't. For me, it baffles me. It's part of my body. I need to know how it looks like. So
There wasn't a was there shame and you just pushed through it, or was there
there was no shame.
Wow.
No shame for me. I was like, this is just normal. I need to. It's like I'm looking at my eyes or my ears or my.
It was just a part of your body.
I used to look at myself a lot in the mirror.
Nice.
Like I get naked and I used to kiss myself in the mirror, and I used to talk a
Wow.
lot to myself. That was my time. I just lock myself in the bathroom and I just start talking to myself in the mirror.
When did this start? This is so
When I
lovely.
was like 12, 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I used to do a
Wow.
lot of talking.
Yeah. Well, that I
Because
understand.
maybe because I didn't have anybody to talk to about the things that I
Talk in the
really
mirror.
talk to the woman in the mirror.
Ah.
Yeah. And I make up stories and I do like comedy or like theater and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you did it in person, because I think I had that kind of relationship with myself, but it was only in my mind. I did a lot of ruminating and a lot of like imagining what kind of future like that was, but I never actually took the next step of like embodying that version of myself until more recently.
Yeah.
But
And people would like, hey, get out of the bathroom.
I know there's 9 of you in your family. You're in there for 3 hours.
I'm in the bathroom.
They hear this music coming out. There's like strobe lights. Like, what kind of party is happening in that bathroom? Wow.
But we were like told, this is gonna sound really crazy, that when you take a shower, you're not like for a woman or a girl. I was a girl. Don't remove your underwear, because you're gonna tempt the devil or those spirits. You know, the bad spirits that they live with us in the house. And you're gonna tempt them, and they're gonna marry.
Wow.
So they sexualize you in a very messed up way. I'm hearing this when I'm like a preteen. So when you go and take a shower, you have to wash yourself without removing your underwear.
But see what this sounds to me.
But I didn't. I was like,
Yeah.
I used to take baths.
Yeah.
Just, I was such a rebel, because hot water is really something precious.
Yes.
You know? And we are a big family. And I would fill the bathtub to the brim and take a really luscious
luxury.
bath. And the next
Did you ever get in trouble for you probably got more in trouble for your baths than
then after
underwear.
that, because the water is going to be cold for the next person who's
Yes.
going to use it. And they were like, oh, who's this? Who's that? And I'm like, I just...
As a kid, did you understand that dynamic? Let me quick story. I had grew up in a cold climate, and I was at my grandparents once, and we were out hiking or in the snow or whatever, and I came back and my feet were really cold, and so instead of taking a full bath, I don't know, I could have just taken a full bath, but I filled up the bathtub with hot water and I soaked my feet in it. And my dad, I don't know what happened. I don't think he stormed in on me, but he came in, or I let him in or whatever. And he saw how full I had made the bathtub, and he got really mad at me. And I didn't know. I didn't understand that hot water wasn't free or easy. Like I just never had made that connection. And so instead of like, and perhaps, who knows, maybe he'd had explained that to me before, and now he was just out of frustration, but he really got angry. And it kind of came out of nowhere, because my dad, for the most part, is a pretty gentle guy. Although he has a way of like there's a pattern with my dad. He holds it in, and then explodes. Yeah. So I was a lucky person who got exploded on in that moment. But yeah, I didn't. But at the time, I don't think I understood that. I guess afterwards I did. Maybe it worked. But you, at a young age, you kind of knew this was a big luxury.
They talk about it.
Okay.
Like as a family, we knew that hot water is...
It's not free.
It's not free, and then you have to be mindful to the next person who's gonna
and you're like,
and I was like,
screw that.
I need a bath. I'm like 12.
I've had a long day.
I'm like, this life is hard, and I need to relax. And the thing is, because in Morocco we have like the public baths that women or men go to.
Oh, right.
So
to share
women,
the
they
water.
go, and I hated that thing. I never liked going to the public baths. Like my mom used to take us.
Right, that seems like something you'd be
Now
into.
I love it so much.
Okay.
I just found it such a torture to go to a very hot place. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was I was a very, very sensitive person. And for me, going to that thing, and because they scrub you and it hurts. So the whole experience for me was just torture.
Everyone's in their underwear?
Oh no, women are just like...
Well, what
all
about
naked.
the devil?
Well, some of them, they wear them. Some of them, they don't care. They walk around. But you look at them, some women, they're like, that's not good.
So
that
there was some judgment.
Judgment about removing your underwear. But like you see all these shapes, all these women like skinny and very like full with like huge breasts. And they lift their breasts to clean them. It's amazing. That's why I'm not self-conscious about being naked in front of people.
That locker room experience as a kid, that's the first time I saw women's bodies like fully. Although my mom wasn't super, she wasn't walking around naked or anything, but it wasn't like she was super, super uptight. But to see like just full unabashed naked woman, gray pubes, like sagging it. You never saw that. So yeah, and then the little girls were all still kind of shameful and were hiding or whatever. But the older ladies, they just walk around. They don't care at all. Like it was a good little lesson. And then later, when a year ago, I was going to the Y, and I was that older lady, just like whatever. Yeah, it's nice that once you've pushed a baby out of your body, like you have a very different. At least for me, that changed my relationship with my body significantly. But back to this is what I wanted to say about the underwear thing. Like it was couched in this myth of, the demons will want to have it. But to me, that it's just like a little clever wrapping to what really is just shame about our genitalia. Yeah. It's just making women feel bad about their and probably boys too. I don't know. I mean, maybe boys were told not to take off their shorts during their shower. I don't know. But
yeah, but I had like some. My mom never explained anything to us. Like one time I had my period, and I think it was just the first months of having my period. And I asked her, like, Mom, I have, this is going to be a bit gross, actually. You're eating. It's going to talk about, and I had like
as long as it's not
blood clot.
Mucus.
No, it's a blood clot.
Oh, yeah. Yes, okay.
It looked like liver, and I told her, I'm like,
blood clots are wild.
Yeah,
they're huge,
just huge. Yes, like blood clot. And I started freaking out, and I went to my mom, and I told her, You know what? You're silly. Go away. That's what she said.
She wouldn't
to
talk
me.
to you about it.
For her, this is something so natural. Like you are a stupid person if you ask me something like I have this question that I don't understand that's coming out of my body.
Right.
Is something wrong? Is it normal? And I never got the answer.
It does. It feels like an organ has been left your body.
Yeah.
And like, how are you supposed to know that it's just underneath it's just mucus
Yeah.
and just has like a thin layer of blood around
And
it?
then I started
Or
reading
not
about
mucus,
it.
but it's
Thank
like-
God for books. You know,
Yeah.
they saved my life because I went and I started like searching, and then we told about how the cycle works, and
And you learned about blood clots? I
Well,
didn't learn
because
about blood clots
that-
until my first.
that's you
Second
know that
pregnancy.
membrane that sheds, so it's part of it that falls. So yeah,
But that was part of your. Okay.
yeah.
No, I didn't
But
have.
my mom used to call me silly all the time whenever I come to her to ask about, because I think she never had the answers, or she felt like you can't talk to your kids about these things, or I don't know what. But every time I tell her something, she tells me, "Oh, you're so silly. You're so silly." Yeah.
Yeah, so very belittling to think. Yeah. And it's scary. I have a similar thing, but I didn't even try to talk to my parents about it, or it's not even. It'd be weird to talk to my dad, I guess. But for years, I had a yeast infection that burned. Like every time I peed, I couldn't. Like I would have to brace myself. Like it would just sting. It was so bad. I mean, it feels like years. Maybe it was a year, or I don't know. But you know, yeast infections. Like if you don't treat them, they just kind of last
Yeah.
forever. So I probably wore too tight of a pair of jeans once, get this infection.
Or yeah.
And then but I couldn't talk to my mom about it. I was so afraid because again, it's the genitals. We're not supposed to. So I never had the guts to talk to my mom about it. So instead I just assumed maybe everyone
You
had
suffered in
this.
silence.
Pretty much, because I didn't know. Maybe this is something that everyone gets, but not having that conversation. So yeah, for you.
So how did you do? Like,
I
how
don't
did-
remember. Maybe I saw a commercial, or maybe I talked to one of my girlfriends about it eventually at some point, and they told me about Vagisil. I don't know. It's at one point it left, and then I've had little bouts of it. Like when I first became sexually active, I had some issues there, and then when I was pregnant with my son, I got it pretty early on, and my midwife told me, yeah, if you get one when you're pregnant, they kind of last. It's hard to treat, I
Oh,
guess, in
wow.
pregnant women. So she's like, yeah, that's going to last. So I ended up having, it didn't feel as bad as when I was a kid. So but in comparison, and I don't remember being that bad. But yeah, when I think back, it's just like, I was like playing basketball, I was riding horses, and I was like, there was this constant pain down there. And I never thought that this was abnormal or not abnormal enough to be able to be like, talk to an adult about it. Weird.
It's
Yeah.
just when you don't have that safe person to go to, and it's
Especially
kind of,
around
hard.
genitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's good that you had a much more comfortable relationship, but you're
With
mom.
whom?
With your
Comfortable-
vagina.
with my vagina, yes. Not with
Not
the-
your parents. Oh well. Well, that obviously not that.
Oh yeah, I think it's very funny that sometimes people just grow up to be like that. I don't know. Yeah. And even though I had 4 sisters, we talked a little bit about like periods and stuff, because I'm like the 4th one from the top of the sisters. Like we're 5 sisters, and I'm the 4th sister. So we could talk about stuff like feminine things, but never sex.
Really, the
Yeah,
act of sex.
Never. We never talked about sex until we all got married.
Because I mean, at one level, you're not supposed to know anything about
So
sex until
yeah,
you're married.
and even though I found out like all of them were like sexually active before they got married.
yes, this is an illusion.
Yeah.
yeah. Especially, which is good.
Yeah, it's fine.
You had to
but
hide
it's
it for a
just,
while.
like-
Like you said in your last story, there's a woman in the house. It's like, yeah, we're all women in that. Like, you think any of
Yeah,
us are
it's
just sitting around?
they're clever and I'm
man, I
dumb.
guess.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
So The question is,
Oh, yes. I was
how
avoiding.
did you meet your husband?
Okay. My husband, I fell so hard for my husband.
How old were you when you met him?
Well, I was 18 when we met.
Mm.
I was instantly attracted to him. We met through work. He was
You
married.
used to work at 18? Oh, this is a detail I didn't know.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
discovering things. So you were 18.
18
He
when
was
we met. At the time, he must have been 29.
That's
And he owned his own business. And so we worked in the same office building, and I was part of this business that was owned by the cult that I was a part of. And his business was in there. He was not a member of the cult / church / community, but his business had been brought in to work with, I can just say it. It's called the Electronic Easel. It's a business that existed in St. Paul, Minnesota in the 90s. And I was working at that business, and he was working in the same building. And I saw him, the first time I saw him, I'll never forget it. He came out of a door, like there's this big atrium, like in the middle. It was kind of where anyway, it was more public space in the building. And I immediately was attracted to him. And I was standing next to a friend of mine at the time, and I said something like, "Who is that?" I'm like 18 years old. Who is that guy? And she told me his name, and then she said he's married. Like right away.
Yeah,
she just
don't
let me know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's weird that she must have sensed my energy, like. And then I just put him out of my mind. I was good. Like I was like, all right,
Okay,
married
he's
man.
married,
Plus,
yeah.
he's also not in my church at the time. I was very committed to that community, and so, yeah, I put it on my mind. And then, my friend though, the one who I'd asked, actually, she had a pretty big crush on him actually, and she actually, even though it was really frowned upon, she ended up hanging out with him and his wife and their group of friends. And so she got to know him pretty well. And they even went on a trip to Chicago together, which I was very jealous of. Like would hear the stories of all the fun stuff they did and trying weed for the first time. I was like, oh, I was just so jealous. But I actually was in Chicago at the same time, but with my family. So I was like lame, boring. Although at the time, and this is, I think I was 19 now, that Chicago trip happened in this like a year later. I remember, as much as that fun trip that I was kind of here, it was before social media, so I just kind of knew they were on this trip. I wasn't getting like regular updates about what they were doing, but I wasn't too bothered that I wasn't part of that, because one, I hadn't really hung out with those people before, but two, I knew that I was going to be leaving the church, and this would be the last trip I was taking with my family. So I was kind of holding on to it. There was that part of it. And we still have pictures of me with my sisters and my parents from that trip, and I'm just so glad that I was hanging out with them at that time. But yeah, so it was instant attraction, but then finding out he was married and not then being a good girl, and like, okay, not that I would, again, I don't know, as an 18-year-old girl, what would I do with a married man? Like, I have no idea. Although at that age, we feel like we're so knowledgeable
so
about the
we're
world.
like women, and we can handle everything.
I made it through high school.
Yeah.
A virgin. Like, I'm still a virgin at the time. Yeah. And then, the rumblings of wanting to leave started, because by then I had met this other guy, and he wasn't in the church, and I was still living with my parents. And the way things worked is that if you live with your parents until you're married, and no sex outside of marriage. And if you want to get married to someone, it had to be someone who's in the community already. And I looked around, and there was a bunch of guys there who I was friendly with and I liked, but none of them, I had tried to have kind of boyfriends in that, and none of it really worked. And I don't know. People often ask me, why did you leave? Was it because you stopped believing? I was like, no, I fully believed everything that was being taught. But I was just horny. Like, that's good. That's
Power of the pussy.
Yes. The power of hormones, right? Like this is how our evolution is what it's good for, right? It's like, that's if we didn't have sex hormones, we'd also be living with our parents, and they'd be living with their parents. You know, it's like this is the thing that drives us into independence, right? So I was being pushed by that, which was, you know, ultimately a very powerful, important part of growing up. Wanting to get laid. So that's where the seeds of I got to get out of this church started. And then I don't want to live with my parents anymore. And I don't want to have to, I'm looking at these guys, and no shade to them. It's just one of the things, none of them are coming to me either. Like I was kind of waiting. Like there were a couple of guys I would have been interested in dating, but none of anyway, they had their own stuff, whatever. But I'm still working. I don't have a plan to leave yet. And then through the course of working on the software product, I was spending more time with this guy. I'm not going to say his name because it doesn't really matter. I mean, not that it doesn't matter, but to be fair to him, I try to keep him as anonymous as possible. But yeah, we started working really well together because he was the software development side and I was a user of the software, and I was very helpful. I had a lot of opinions, and as someone who's using we were the beta site, so the whole idea was let's build up features. What kind of feedback do you have? And I had tons of feedback, so I was often in his office giving notes and explaining things, and we'd have meetings, and then at one point I let him know, by the way, I'm not going to be around much longer. You know, I'm planning on leaving, and I think I'm right away. Or maybe not. Maybe the next time I saw him, he's like, have you found a job or anything? And I was like, no, that was like one of the big pieces I was still trying to figure out. And pretty quickly he offered me a job because he saw how helpful I was on that side. I was just like, I'm going to move to the development side of things. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. Still, I didn't see any like sexual connection or anything. I was very platonic with him at that point. But then, so in I would say August of, what year was it? I was 19. So that would have been, 96? I'm bad at math. 1995, maybe? Or 94? 1994, right? Because I'm 1 year shy of 20. So August 1994, I let my mom know. I let my parents know that I'm leaving. They are not happy about it. My mom tells me if I'm serious about this, that if I leave, that I'll be dead to them. Like basically saying like, if you walk out that door, that's it. Like we don't have a relationship anymore, which I'd seen them do to my older brother who had left. But I also saw them kind of soften on that position at times. So it was like, you're saying that, but I know like sometimes that's true and sometimes it's not true. So, but it was still hard to hear, you know? And so one Sunday morning they went off to a church picnic. And instead of going with them, which I normally would have, I stayed there. And then my ex and his wife at the time and another employee pulled up and they picked me up in a moving truck and they were moving out to Baltimore, which I love the idea. I don't have to stay in Minnesota. I can go see the world a little bit and go to the East Coast.
You were not scared?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it helped that I'd known this person for like over a year now. Yeah, I felt like that was actually, I felt like an amazing opportunity. Like, wow, he's offering me a place to, like, they're going to help me find a place to live once we get to Baltimore, and I have a job already set up, and I can be working with this company that I know, but I don't have to work in the same building because it would have been super awkward to just leave the church and then show up the next day, but now on the other side of the atrium. Like, so it was like, oh, this is all kind of perfect. So I get in this van, and then pretty quickly... Like it's a couple day drive to Baltimore if you stop. Wow. Okay. And we're in a moving truck and we're trailing his car, this old vintage Mercedes. So the four of us at first are like,
and his wife is
yes, yes,
not knowing that a home wrecker is with her.
I know, she was so nice to me too. I know. Oh no. God, I can't tell you how guilty I felt for so long.
So he left her for you.
Immediate, yes. Oh, yes. Well, and he didn't even do her the favor of like breaking up with her, and then
and you were in the middle of
this. It was a big drama. Like it's we should we'll maybe save this for another episode.
I'm gonna say you were young. I'm gonna give you that.
I was young, and then so I don't want to go too deep into it, but like right away, it was pretty clear that their marriage wasn't good. Like they were bickering a lot and fighting. I remember one night, we spent a night in a hotel, and they didn't even spend the night in the same room together. They'd been fighting.
And they've been married for how long?
Not
before?
too long. Not
They didn't
too
have
long.
any kids?
Thank God, no.
Okay.
No. And she's a very accomplished woman, and the reason we're going to Baltimore is because she had gotten a pretty big job opportunity at Johns Hopkins University, and so like it was a big deal. And I was just going along for the ride, and to have a job there on the other side. But then, so pretty quickly, and then she would confide in me about how her marriage wasn't good and all this stuff. I know. It was really a soap opera.
I'm so ashamed.
You'll still be my friend.
I don't want to be involved with you anymore.
I know.
I'm
It was
joking,
such a
I'm
drama.
joking.
Like, it went from like my parents.
I'm no better than you.
Wow. Yeah, it's wild. Like when I think about it, it's like it was a massive soap opera for like 3 months at least. Like my parents saying, "You're dead to us." And then this moving truck picking me up and the four of us sitting in this cab. It's pretty tight. And then immediately there's tension. Like I went from like one pretty toxic for its own reasons, thing to immediately this
drama
toxic situation.
And how long after that did you get together?
A week. We moved fast. We moved really
Your
fast.
hormones are just like, okay.
Overdrive.
So you get with him after he is married, and then after that, like, when did he split up with his wife?
About a week later, it was so awkward.
Okay.
Like there's a lot we're skipping over, but one night, so she would go to work all day. She had her job. And I was at work with him, and so as soon as she'd leave, like we would start making out and having sex. Like it was not good. I mean, it was great, but we were hanging out and we were having fun. And he was so charming. And the story he was telling me, and the story that I just love to believe is like, their marriage is not good, but him and I were meant to be together, and I was coming as a savior. Like I'm saving him.
The classic bullshit.
Totally. Love bombing, all that stuff was happening.
And you are like, this is your first experience with a man.
First experience, and I can't talk to my mom because any conversation with her was like, just come back to the church. Like that's the only answer. There's no like,
you can't have anybody telling you like, no, this is wrong.
Completely on
whatever,
my own.
Any kind of advice or something.
Completely on my own. Yeah.
Just drowning in your.
And
whatever.
And it just felt so safe. Like, no, it's messy, but this is what it's meant to be.
And smart. And the whole package.
Yes.
Okay.
Plus, he's my boss too, right? This is my job, because if I left him, I'd have to find a job. If it was all just very
because you're gonna lose
codependent
as well.
and,
you're gonna be by yourself. No safety
this
net,
is the
nothing.
only
safety net.
It's totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I had family relatives in another part of Minnesota that maybe I could have gone and hang out, but I was now in Baltimore and I didn't really have any money.
And now you're feeling nice things as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Early on, there was a pregnancy scare because we didn't use protection.
I swear to God, I feel like you come from the woods sometimes.
I do. Anyway, there's so much. So
At
your
least
simple question.
I used protection whenever I had sex.
Yes, you're much more advanced. Like it's interesting. You're like in another country, but it's interesting. Like at the surface level, people think Americans are more advanced than Moroccans, but that's not true.
I'm
Once you get into individual,
I've never had any unplanned pregnancy in my whole life.
Wow.
My 2 kids, they were planned.
I've had 12 abortions.
Never had a miscarriage, nothing. Everything was just, I was always so meticulous with my birth control.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm very proud of it because I hear my sisters, it was all like
a
mess. I used to read so much about it that I was like, I'm gonna do this.
You knew from the
proper-
very beginning
yeah,
what to do.
yeah.
Yeah, that I did not get any kind of education on that, and I didn't know how to educate myself on that. You know, like you had books and stuff, which was amazing, and I maybe could I didn't even know that was something to look up. Like I'd heard of condoms, but because I grew up in this very sexually repressed society where women aren't supposed to get married until, or not supposed to have sex until you're married, or boys too. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't just girls, but and birth control was completely
like from
illegal,
yeah.
not even frowned
oh
upon.
my God, like you can't.
Yeah, so there was no
Yeah.
education about condoms or the pill. I mean, I knew it. I had known about it. There was a girl in our school who got to be on the pill because it helped with her like skin condition or whatever. And so it was like we're all a little bit jealous, like, ooh, but she wasn't. I don't, as far as I know, wasn't even sexually active, so it wasn't like. But so I'd heard of it, but I didn't have any education about it or how to get it and all the conversation around it was how bad it was. You know, it was this exception because it's interesting. Like a pill is allowed if it helps your skin, but if it has anything to do with your sexuality or anything with a woman controlling her reproduction, well, then it's just completely the devil's work. You know, so yeah. So there was a lot squeezed into that first couple weeks of.
And then he left his wife just right
Well,
after
so-
that.
Well, one
Did
night.
she found out?
She had, I think she had suspicions. The first night, oh my God.
And she came to you.
The first night I slept with him. Then
So
we
you
had
were a
gone to
virgin?
dinner.
He
The
was your
four was
first one?
no,
Oh, no.
not quite.
Okay,
Well, my
okay.
first sexual experience, I think by modern standards, would be technically rape. By modern standards, at the time I didn't see it that way, but now when I think about it, it's like, oh yeah, I was very clearly saying no, but also I was horny, like I talked about. So my body was wanting yes. I don't know, but no.
Is it like maybe shame the fact that you said no because you
Absolutely. Like we were
I
taught
don't
that
think
women.
it was rape. I think it was just your brain telling you that you should not be doing this, but at the same time you want it.
Yes,
Is it
absolutely.
that?
Oh,
Can
totally.
I just say that, like us also, you say no because you want to look like you're a proper or like you
Yes.
that, but you want it, but you kept saying no. I don't think it's rape.
Well, no wonder people are so confused.
Yeah.
With girls, we were taught to be like, say no, even
Yeah.
though you may want, like,
So you
it's-
don't sound like you're a very easy girl, or like
Right,
you
the girl-
have experience. And like the first time I had sex with my first boyfriend, I asked him to put on a condom, and he said, "Can you put it for me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Where did you learn how to put on a condom?" He was outraged at me for knowing how to put on it. He said, "You've done it before." I said, "No, I read it in a book and I saw it like in a visual thing."
But it's crazy. It's
But
like, have sex
because
with me, but I
he-
don't want you to have had sex with anyone else. Like, if that had happened, then.
He didn't think that a woman would be smart enough to know how to, or skilled enough just by learning stuff.
Well, it's because you put it on with your mouth. It's
yeah,
very-
with my feet.
you were really
I
skilled.
used my phone.
You're like, you've done this
I
before.
was like blindfolded. Just put on the
Wait a
condom.
minute.
I was a magician. I just spelled in. I said, "Shut up, or I'm gonna make your penis disappear." Anyway, so yeah, just so silly. Anyway, so yeah, so she found out.
Well, because we went to, we were still socializing because it was four of us in Baltimore. No one else knew anyone else there. So at night we would hang out and we'd go to dinners and stuff. And there was still this married couple who were bickering and whatever. But then she had a day job. So she would go to bed early, like go in, have dinner, whatever, and then go in. And then him and I would, if it wasn't.
In her house? In their house?
Not in their
Oh.
house, no. But the way that it was situated was their office was connected to their apartment. It's part of Baltimore. There was like mixed
And you
business
you used to sleep
and
in
then
the
there was an
office?
extra room. I didn't have an apartment yet, so there was a
okay.
futon in the office. But the first night we ended up having sex together, and it felt. I mean, I was very inexperienced sexually. Like maybe it was my third time. Like it was still pretty young. Oh, and oh god, that whole but like when my ex he found out, because later when, oh man, I'm jumping around. When that whole me not being a virgin thing was a big deal.
To him?
Yes. He made me feel bad about it. When he found out later that wasn't technically his first, and this is later, like after
such a messed up thing.
Yeah,
for
he
a
was like
married
talking
man
about
to-
leaving me because of it. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's like, yes, you were married.
The red flags are just
Oh.
coming, and you're
Oh,
diving into them
diving
like
in.
full on.
I was a good codependent. Like I didn't
You
see
were
red
not
flags.
Experienced,
I had
and
no-
you came out of like
Well,
0
yes.
to 100 right away.
Not even 0. Like I had been groomed for this. I had been groomed. My whole life in this cult was taught I'm insufficient. I'm not enough. My sexuality is shameful. I need to subjugate myself to men. Like I was groomed for this type of relationship. So
yeah.
all of this felt natural to me. All of this is how you love someone. Like it all, I mean, there were red flags, but I didn't see red flags. I was just like, I was like, oh, I'll sew those for you. You know what I mean? Like to me, like it was just like, I was there to serve. I was a good little codependent people pleaser. So yeah, no, it was great. Yeah. Red flag after red flag. And I just kept trying to make it work.
He saw the potential in you for like everything that he needed to do to a woman to make him feel powerful or something like that.
I don't even know if he saw that. He would do whatever he did, and I would just go along with it. And then he would do another thing, and I would just continue to go along with it.
So
I don't think
for him, like he's like, well, she's the perfect.
Yeah, it was the
person
perfect
for me
woman.
to just be whatever shitty person.
until I wasn't, but that
Yeah.
took
years.
20 years,
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean, there were moments, but anyway, like, yeah, but this is, I think when we talk about personality disorder people, we often think like they're very cunning and like, oh, they have their eye out for the empath or whatever. And it's like, it's not that. It's just, we're the only ones willing to put up with their shit.
Yeah, when you can keep putting up with
yeah,
things, they're
that's-
like you allow them to be however they want to be with
Yes,
around you.
because
you
someone
know?
healthy, someone
Yeah.
who's healthy, maybe they go on 1 or 2 dates, but they would push back early
Yeah,
on,
and
and
they're
then it just wouldn't work out. So it's not like they're cleverly scoping us out, and we got to be on the lookout because it's like, no, you just got to have good boundaries, and I didn't have good boundaries at all, and I had 0 self-love, and I wasn't taught any of these things. So yeah, so I left. I like to say that I left this one cult for a much smaller cult, and it was me and him. Like he was the cult leader, and I was the yeah. So I didn't stand a chance. Like there was 0 space between leaving my family and then getting into
you
this
didn't get to
this abusive
experience
relationship.
life or just whatever.
I never had a taste
Yeah.
of what normal was until now. But anyway, and it's all fine. I'm grateful for the whole thing. It had to happen that way. But we'll get into that later. How long have we been going? 48 minutes. So we should save your meet cute for another time. Any other questions? Anything? It takes me 20 minutes to answer.
But no, I just wanted to know, like, when did you get married? Like after this whole.
Okay, so I was 19 when we slept together. We moved in together immediately. I never had my own apartment.
And then
like
his wife just left.
She moved out.
Okay.
Yeah, she had income. She had a job, so she was able to get her own place pretty quickly. She discovered it. It's real quick to finish that story. So we would hang out in the evenings, and then one night we were at this bar. It was just 3 of us. The other guy was maybe not out with us that night. And she went in to go to the bathroom. And while she was gone in the
You
bathroom.
started falling in love.
Yes.
The classic cocky,
Dumb.
like people who think that nobody's gonna find out. Anyways,
It's almost as dumb as leaving your birth control package.
Yeah, same. Like you're too arrogant to
Yes.
think that people are.
But now
smart.
I think maybe he wanted to get caught. Maybe is that what it was? Anyway, she walks out of the bathroom and sees us kissing at this bar stool table.
That's
That's not a nice way to find
Yeah.
it. And I
Poor
felt
woman.
Yeah, I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
But at the time, the story I was told
What
is
did
she's
she
a
do?
bitch, she's a witch, she's awful. She's mean to me. Like, this is the story he's telling me, which is exactly the story I'm sure he's telling about me to all,
Of course, everybody's against him.
Yeah. But at the time, me not knowing anything about any of this stuff was like, oh, I'll save you. I'll be that good
people
girl.
when they want to do something that they think it's bad, they have to justify it.
Of course,
yourself, to himself, and to the other person.
Of course, especially him. He's always the victim. He can't be someone who's actually. So I was not equipped for this. I did things that. I mean, they happen the way they happen, and that's fine. And for years, I'll just finish with this. For years, I felt so guilty. I felt so guilty the way things went down, and I never had the chance to tell her that, and I don't think she cares. I don't think she cares about my guilt.
The damage has been done to her. But did she?
I did her a huge favor.
Yeah,
I did her the biggest favor.
You saved her life, and you were like the one who took over.
I just like, I'll take that baton, and I did, and so in the end, guilt is so meaningless. It says, but I think she's doing fine, and it all happened the way it's supposed to happen.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking forward to learning about your story or hearing more about it, because I think I have no pieces of it, obviously, but next week we're going to really dig in.
Yeah.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.